Please subscribe my channel. The moment my phone rang, I glanced at the screen and smiled. It was my fiancée, Emily. We were supposed to meet for dinner after work at our favorite Italian restaurant. I had even left the office early to surprise her with flowers. As I pulled into the parking lot, I answered cheerfully, "Hey, I'm here." There was a long pause before she spoke. "Listen, Carter's inside, so maybe don't come in yet." I frowned. "What?" "Carter's here," she repeated nervously. "Can you just wait in the car for a few minutes?" My smile disappeared. Carter was her ex-boyfriend, the same man who had broken her heart years ago before she met me. "What is he doing there?" I asked. "He just showed up. I didn't know he'd be here." "And why exactly can't I come inside?" I don't want things to become awkward." Awkward. That single word echoed in my mind. I looked through the restaurant windows and spotted Emily sitting near the back. Across from her sat Carter. They weren't arguing. They weren't uncomfortable. They were laughing. She quickly noticed my car and looked away. "I'll explain later," she whispered before hanging up. For several minutes, I sat behind the steering wheel trying to understand what had just happened. Finally, I stepped out of the car. If something needed explaining, I'd rather hear it face to face. As I entered the restaurant, Emily's eyes widened. "Cole, I told you to wait." Carter slowly turned toward me. He stood up with a polite smile. "You must be the fiancé," he said, extending his hand. I ignored it. Emily looked embarrassed. "Carter was just leaving." "No," I replied calmly. "I think I'll stay." An uncomfortable silence settled over the table. Eventually, Carter picked up his jacket. "It was nice meeting you," he said before walking toward the exit. Once he was gone, I looked directly at Emily. "Start talking?" She sighed deeply. "He messaged me last week. And he said he wanted closure." I crossed my arms. "So you met him alone without telling me?" "I didn't want you to worry." "I wasn't worried until you told me not to come inside." Tears filled her eyes. "I know how this looks. It looks like you chose his comfort over mine." She didn't answer. Instead, she stared down at the table. I noticed 2 untouched dinner plates. "You planned this?" She shook her head. "No." "Then why were there 2 meals?" She hesitated. "I ordered before he arrived." That explanation sounded reasonable, but something still felt wrong. The waitress approached. "Would either of you like dessert?" Emily quietly shook her head. The waitress smiled awkwardly and walked away. Neither of us spoke for nearly 5 minutes. Finally, Emily reached into her purse. "I wasn't ready to tell you this tonight." She slid a small envelope across the table. Inside was a folded letter. It was from Carter. He had recently been diagnosed with a serious heart condition. According to the letter, he wasn't looking to win Emily back. He simply wanted to apologize before undergoing a risky surgery. "I thought if I told you beforehand," Emily whispered, "you'd insist on coming with me." Carter specifically asked to speak to me alone. I stared at the letter. Every sentence sounded sincere. He admitted ruining their relationship. He admitted taking her for granted. He apologized for the pain he caused. Then came the final line. "Please marry the man who treats you the way I never did." I slowly folded the letter. "Why didn't you just tell me?" She looked ashamed. "Because I knew it would sound suspicious." "It did." "I know." She reached for my hand. "I never stopped loving you. I was only trying to help someone find peace." I believed her, not because of the letter, but because of the honesty in her eyes now. Still, trust had taken a hit. Over the next few weeks, we had several difficult conversations. We promised each other something important. No more secrets, no matter how uncomfortable the truth might be. A month later, Carter's surgery was successful. He sent us both a wedding gift, a handwritten card, and a vintage photo frame. The note simply read, "Thank you for giving Emily the happiness I couldn't. Take care of each other." On our wedding day, that card sat quietly among dozens of expensive gifts. Ironically, it became one of the most meaningful. Years later, whenever people asked us the secret to a strong marriage, Emily would smile and answer honestly. We learned that trust isn't built by avoiding difficult conversations. It's built by having them. Looking back, I realized that the phone call in the parking lot could have ended everything. Instead, it became the lesson that saved our relationship. Love isn't about never facing uncomfortable moments. It's about choosing honesty before misunderstanding has the chance to grow. And every time we drove past that restaurant, we'd remember the night that nearly broke us, but ultimately